right, friends, we are here. It is a very special edition of Conspiracy Corner, and it's special for a couple of reasons. One reason is that it's actually being made available to the public for the first time ever. A Patreon-only show, a show typically only reserved for our paid subscribers on Patreon, our members of the Lions of Liberty Pride. We're giving it to you guys for free for a couple days. It'll be up on the public feed from Thursday to Saturday, so you have a chance to at least download it then. Check it out. You can listen whenever you want, I suppose. And if you like what you see, consider joining the Pride, because we were recently, just as we put a lot of money into video equipment, doing a lot of interviews at PorkFest, almost as soon as we did that, we were demonetized on YouTube. So that sucks, but how better to celebrate a demonetization than to demonetize ourselves briefly? So we are putting one of our paywall shows out there for the public to consume. It's also streaming live to our secret Pride Facebook group, so you can join that for as little as $2 a month. You don't get access to everything for that amount, but you do get access to the secret Facebook group that contains these very live streams, so you can at least see the live versions of some of these shows. And without further ado, I will now bring in my regular Conspiracy Corner crew, starting with the never wooden and always excited scientist himself, JB Lubin. What's up?
How you doing?
Am I having a flashback?
What's up, man?
Hey, how are things?
Start this Epstein talk and, get back into this non-conspiracy as I described it.
I was just going to say, in another life, I had a dream that you didn't even think that there was a conspiracy here to discuss.
Well, I guess I misspoke in the sense that, the whole Jeffrey Epstein Lolita Island thing is pretty out in the open at this point, and calling it a conspiracy isn't really, doesn't really make sense. But like how we pointed out, which I guess he'll say when it's his turn, there's other things left uncovered, so.
I have a friend, a brief interlude. I have a friend at work today. We got into conspiracies, and I actually started them watching a moon landing documentary as a result of this conversation. But he basically said, I'm not really into conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists. And I stopped him. I said, well, you believe at least one, because the term conspiracy theory is a conspiracy theory that was produced by the CIA in order to discredit anybody that was asking questions about the government, and to lump them all together and to make everything seem crazy, even when some things may be legitimate, to lump every question about something the government may have done in with UFOs, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, which of course are all real as well, but that's not the point. I told him you believe at least one conspiracy theory if you're even talking about the term. But anyway, I digress. JB, are you drinking with us today? I'm drinking. Are you? I'm drinking.
Yeah, I got some cider going today.
Some cider?
Actually been buying a lot of cider lately.
Are you doing the side of tequila that you often do?
Oh, no, just cider tonight.
Taking it easy on a Tuesday. And I'm just drinking some Sauvignon Blanc. Don't ask why. There's no reason. It's just the only alcohol in my house. That's the whole reason. Because when you date on apps, you have to have various wines available. That's a little tip.
Fair enough.
And I used all the other ones. So Howie, hi. Howie Snowden, everybody. You look so surprised when I just said your name.
Yeah. I'm here. I'm ready to get on the Lolita Express to Orgy Island.
Ready to get on it?
With our captain lead researcher Rico and get into this. This is, it is clear that Epstein is a pedophile, but there's so much more going on around this that we're going to get into. But just a quick aside, because you guys mentioned it. So the other morning, and I don't think I've ever talked to Andrew about this, but we were just drinking coffee in the morning, getting ready for work. And my wife's like, I don't think we maybe ever actually landed on the moon. She's like, the more I read about it, I'm like, yeah.
Let's not do this again. We had this argument at PorkFest. We have this argument.
We already changed the subject of this podcast once. We were originally going to look into the OJ case, but we swapped it over to Epstein due to, the breaking news and such of his new arrest. But we could switch it again and just go back into the
No. We're going to do Epstein. I just wanted to say I was happy to see my wife.
I want to say one thing
on her own, be skeptical of the moon landing.
Okay, well, what are you drinking first of all, Howie? Let's try to maintain a semblance.
From work, I just wanted to have a Dogfish Head all day IPA, but then my wife finished work, came down, and she wanted to open a bottle of mead, so we drank that. Mead. Now I'm drinking Dogfish Head 60-minute IPA.
Is that how long it lasts? What's the minutes mean?
I don't know.
That's how long
I'm new to
it with hops or something, or brew it with hops. It's steeping with hop time or something.
Does more minutes mean more alcohol or less?
It just means it was exposed to the hops at that step for longer.
Mm.
Interesting.
Whatever, it's maybe a dry hopping. It's something to do with hops. I can't remember exactly.
All right.
And lastly, it's our super secret, not that secret, mysterious, not that mysterious legal researcher. He is at least 1/8 Puerto Rican. He might be less. He might be more.
That's a conspiracy too.
That's another conspiracy. That's going to be the $1,000 level conspiracy
Yes.
theory we'll dig deep into. Hi.
So, how's it going?
It's going all right. What you up to?
I'm drinking some vodka and lemonade for the summer.
Delicious. That is a nice summertime drink.
It is. I enjoy it.
Rico, you need to do an Elizabeth Warren style DNA test so we can get some blood. So.
Oh, I ordered my ancestry kit. It was discounted for Prime Day.
I hope you're
The big
Swedish.
reveal will be coming soon.
Says here you're black. Huh. 99% accuracy, but and 1% like Ashkenazi Jew somehow. And 2% doctor. Okay. So one thing I want to say about the moon landing, of all, because I was watching a moon landing documentary with skeptical people who weren't buying a lot of the little arguments, but the one that I've yet to hear really anybody actually not take pause at is the Van Allen radiation belt thing, where it was the most dangerous thing ever. We couldn't figure it out, and then it stopped being dangerous for a couple of years, and now it's so dangerous that we still have to figure it out again to go back to send people
Exactly.
to Mars. That's all.
No argument.
Jamie wants to say something though.
Is that really accurate? I didn't look
It's
into
as accurate
that.
it's as accurate as I can tell.
Because I could have, I can't say this definitively. But I could have sworn I went on actual literally NASA's site and said that that's not even true.
All right, well, send us
It's
some
not an issue. I'll look into it.
A
But
government website is reputable now.
because I watched a video made by NASA where they said we're trying to figure out how to get people around the belt. A recent video, but anyway,
yeah, okay, I'll look into it.
Isn't the moon inside our atmosphere, though?
they changed the definition of atmosphere recently to say that.
Okay.
But going back to that, no one has still given me an acceptable, answer to my one question about why all these foreign powers that were our enemies complicit in this moon landing forgery when they could have easily exposed the United States for the frauds that they are. The most I guess reasonable answer I got is that the Cold War was a sham. That's the lengths you have to go to
And I think that's not a bad
moon
answer.
landing was fake.
Well,
The entirety of the Cold War was fake.
Do you mean like the Russians who we work with in the space station?
Yeah.
Well, we
The
did
Cold-
sign a cooperation
the
agreement with
entirety
Russia
of
right
the
before
Cold
that.
Do
War.
we totally cooperate
the
with that?
entirety of that whole period. That's
We-
the only somewhat reasonable answer to that question.
If we're just talking about Russia, we signed a cooperation agreement with Russia right before the moon landing. So I would say that in that case, they would either be in on it or just remain ignorant willfully and just be riding their coattails. We weren't actually in a space race with them at the point of the moon landing.
But that's what we were projecting.
Right,
And-
that's what we're
and
projecting,
For some
correct.
strange
But it's
reason,
not
they were
reality.
okay with that. And they were okay with that.
We're getting off topic here, guys.
No, we're not. This is a real preview of what happens. We go off in random directions. And somehow, I guarantee you by the end of this, we're going to find a way to tie Jeffrey Epstein into the moon. Okay?
We should send him.
Challenge
We
accepted.
should send him there. That's his punishment. He has to be the one to now test if we can really send people.
You know what?
with the
He
Van
is connected to Richard Branson.
Yeah.
And isn't Richard Branson doing the tourism to space?
Bam! We just
It
did it.
didn't even take till the end of the podcast.
No.
2 minutes in. We're done
All
here,
right,
guys.
end it now. Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning
All
into the
makes
special
sense.
preview of Conspiracy Corner.
been
Richard
fun.
Branson is a pedophile. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say things like that on public podcasts. That's
You got
my
to say
fault.
allegedly. That's fine.
Richard Branson has 48 hours to find this audio and sue me. No, I don't believe that to be true. Although I don't believe it to be not true. Let's start at the beginning. What year was Jeffrey Epstein?
What is the
Under
beginning?
what circumstances? I don't
What
know.
is the beginning of Jeffrey
Born in
Epstein?
1953.
Let's ask our lead researcher. What do you think is the beginning of Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, I think the
When
beginning,
Ethel Epstein and Fred Epstein met in a park.
you could either say, I think the beginning of the Jeffrey Epstein story is how did he make his money and or who does he really work for?
He started off at Bear Stearns, but
He didn't last there very long.
no.
And he didn't even graduate college, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did not graduate college. Doesn't
We
have-
always do correct research here. So.
not that it really matters, but you'd think if you're a billionaire financial analyst, investment guru of sorts, there would be some record of your trades. And there's like nothing on Jeffrey Epstein trading. There's no record of who his clients are. the people who deal at the highest levels, where if you're a billionaire on Wall Street, you're going to know the other billionaires. You're going to have similar financial interactions, whatever. He's a ghost on that scene. So he didn't make his money by just kind of hedge fund management or whatever the other billionaires on Wall Street make. There's some allegation. There was some Ponzi scheme that happened in the 90s, and this guy's been in jail for 20 years. It was some kind of securities, and it was a Ponzi scheme. There was I forget the main guy's name, like Hedgeworth or something.
Hedgeworth had a hedge fund?
Yeah, I'm probably making that name up too.
I like it.
So he's been saying for 20 years that Jeffrey Epstein was the unindicted co-conspirator in this case that he got convicted of, this running a Ponzi scheme, and Jeffrey Epstein had access to a $500 million basically from that Ponzi scheme. This happened in the 90s. People bought securities, then they could never get their money back. So that's one theory of how Epstein made his money.
Yeah, I didn't know that, because I would have guessed. I thought, well, you can't make $1 billion sex trafficking. So I figured it must have made. I figured, well,
I don't think that's possible.
Bill Clinton. You're
sex trafficking for Prince Andrew and like the
right.
most.
No. So I think that he made the $1 billion in blackmail, not the actual sex trafficking. I mean, people could get, that for cheaper than whatever. But I think the real money is in the blackmail and the power and the pull that he gets over these people. Okay,
so just to go back to what I was saying real quick. There was a 1980s fraud case. This guy, Hoffenberg was his last name, Stephen Hoffenberg. He ran Towers Financial Group, which was—
I like Hedgeworth better, but go on.
Yeah, Hoffenberg, Hedgeworth, whatever. So that was one alleged source of the Epstein money. And then, like Howie said, there's that second source. He has connections to all these very rich, powerful A-list celebrities, royalty, billionaires, gets them on his plane, gets them to the Virgin Islands, to his New York mansion, which is apparently 7 stories, which is crazy. 7 stories, a house in New York City. I think the value of it was $50 million. That was basically gifted to him. So the other story is—
vacation home.
Yeah, he was gifted that home, but he is videotaping people. And then that's the source of blackmail where he made all this money. But it's kind of an ongoing blackmail, which could also explain how he got off very leniently in the 2008 plea deal. But there's also another thought that why he got off easy. And there was a quote from Acosta. He said, he's above my pay grade. This is when he was being confirmed for the labor secretary under Trump, and he was being asked if Epstein would be a problem, the whole Epstein deal. And he's like, my understanding, he is above my pay grade. He's in intelligence.
Epstein is above his pay grade.
Yes.
That's what Acosta, the labor secretary who now just resigned.
Yes.
Right.
Same guy.
I think the key part of that is that he said he's with intelligence. Mm-hmm. Which intelligence? There are some documents saying that he did indeed provide information to the FBI. That would have been Mueller's FBI at the time.
Mueller,
whatever.
Mueller.
And one thing, when all this started going down, I was happy. I'm like, maybe we're finally going to see justice served. Then I saw one of the prosecuting attorneys is Comey's daughter. Oh, the judge is one that was appointed by Clinton. God damn it. There's going to be no justice.
So I don't know that Comey's daughter is actually the prosecutor. She's an assistant U.S. Attorney General in that office, but she's not necessarily assigned to that case unless it's just happened. And there's obviously a lot of assistant attorney, U.S. attorneys in each district. So the Southern District of New York, there's someone appointed by Trump now running that office, I believe, because custom is if you're the assistant attorney general for that region, like the Southern District of New York, you tender your resignation when there's a new president, and then he appoints a new one.
So one theory I've heard is that so I think most of us agree there's some form of a deep state that's running things, and there's a lot of elites like high ups that are very influential on this, and a lot of them are degenerate, like horrible people. And
That's how you get to the top. That's why the worst come on top.
While we agree on principle, I hate the term deep state.
All right.
That detaches it from the fact that this is just a state, and this is
I
how
only hate it now because
the state is a problem.
It's become so associated with Trump now.
Because that's what it is.
Right. But so my point was, so these degenerates are people realize that these elites are like horrible, sick people, and the rest of the not deep state, like shit, we don't want to lose our power, so we better throw these degenerates under the bus and clean house, or else we're going to go down over the cliff with them. So that would be, I mean, I don't want them to win and save power, but I do want these people to be in jail. So I don't know, it's just a theory.
I don't know, the classic Howie Snowden conclusion, any conjecture, I don't know.
It's just a preview of what you'll get on every other Conspiracy Corner when Howie goes on a 2 to 5 minute rant and then ends it with, I don't know.
So does anyone else have any thoughts on, where he actually got his money from?
So do you think that if he is some kind of intelligence, I guess I'm curious, like, what you guys think about the chicken egg situation. Did he become part of intelligence because he made such big connections through the finance world and eventually through his pedophilia? Or that's what I think. Or did he get into that because he was intelligence?
I think he became ingratiated to all these people through his sexual connections, and Israel probably reached out to him somehow. Maybe they knew what he was.
Always got to blame the Jews. Why is that?
Well,
they're an underlying.
I mean,
his last name is Jew feud, isn't it? For years,
his last name is Epstein. It's not.
I guess that's a fair
Muhammad, but that's one reason.
Well, it's not like Israel and Saudi Arabia aren't on the same sheet of music right now.
In terms of what?
Well, that's a
child trafficking.
In terms of making the U.S. do what they both want us to do, which is the same.
I see.
Or in terms, and to bring it around to Saudi Arabia, because I do think there's a big possibility he's a Mossad agent, but he was found in one of his safes in his New York mansion was a Saudi Arabian passport with his picture and a different name, along with like a bunch of diamonds and like other crap.
So I got confused now. So you're saying that he was an agent for Mossad, Israeli intelligence, not even American?
It's a theory.
He could work for both.
The theory of where he got his wealth, that can't possibly make you a billionaire. Being a spy doesn't pay well.
No, listen.
You're a spy who has dirt on Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, and like the most.
I guarantee you the money is from blackmail. Has like videotaping all these people engaged in pedophilia. I'm sure some of them were like, oh yeah, I want to have sex with these young girls. Great. And they didn't know the camera's there. Other people, maybe they come to the island. They're like hanging out like, oh, this guy's cool, popular. All the important people are here. Like, yeah, this girl's 18. And then like afterwards, like, actually she's 15 and we videotaped you. So now you're going to do whatever we say.
Oh, you think they might not even know they're pedophiles, some of these guys?
Yeah, I think in some cases. Or they may like, hey, we're going to give you this opportunity for all this power and this, but you need to have sex with this girl and have it on tape. So we have collateral over you, but we're going to give you all this money, all this power, all this whatever.
How can these rich and powerful people be so obtuse? I can imagine a fucking prince being like, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. I should probably be videotape fucking this 15-year-old right now.
I have a picture of
Prince. When you're the prince of the fucking United Kingdom?
I have a picture of Prince Andrew with one of those 15-year-olds.
Yeah, I read the report or affidavit. I don't even know what that word really means. Does that just mean like a sworn testimony?
It's a sworn testimony.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure I know what I'm talking about. And that's what that was, right?
Yes.
That woman.
This is breaking news. I think this just came out like today, right, Howie? Or like
and the evidence is there that at the very least she knows Prince Andrew. So that was pretty amazing. That today was the first I saw that.
There's a picture of this girl, and we'll try to link to this. Well, we won't have. Maybe I will do an official show notes.
Yeah, and she
should probably introduce this information a little bit more.
She's in pictures with Epstein and them in like these locations all over the world. Who just like, oh, I'm going to bring this random young teenage girl all around the world with me for like no reason. And we'll hang out with Prince Andrew.
Yeah, so this is to give context. There is a Jane Doe number 1 and a Jane Doe number 2 that are, I guess, involved in the current suit of. This is interesting. This actually
I actually had her name. Find it, or is that doxing?
Don't say her name because it's blacked out in this document. So
all right. Okay, sorry.
You have her name? How do you have her name? But don't say it. It's blacked out in this document, and her name's irrelevant ultimately. But I found her testimony in this written document, which I'll try to link to somewhere. I don't have a URL to give you, but you know how the internet works. Just find this. It felt very credible to me. Did you guys feel that way reading this?
I read the whole thing.
I was suspicious when she said Bill Clinton was on the island but not engaged in any inappropriate sexual activity. That seemed a little fishy.
Yeah.
No, not to me. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He's like, I don't trust this guy. I was like, Slick Willie knows when he can smell a rat when he's.
But speaking of connections, Bill Clinton was on his plane, the Leo Express, I believe, 26 times.
4 times, Howie.
He claims 4, but actually, if you look at the flight records, in one of the trips to Africa, he did not, definitely in that one, have his Secret Service with him. And you know who else was with him? Kevin Spacey, another great guy.
All the conversations they must have had.
Yeah, I can only imagine what those two are talking about.
If these walls could talk, let me tell you, they would say some things.
They'd probably just be screaming.
There are a lot of like high-level people connected to this. I would say the biggest people connected to him are in order of appearance or order of importance. Actually, I don't know. Prince Andrew's probably more powerful than Clinton because he's royalty and he doesn't leave power, but neither does Clinton really. But Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew are the two biggest names connected to Jeffrey Epstein's activities. And the next one I would say would be Alan Dershowitz, who's an extremely famous lawyer. And he also was part of Jeffrey Epstein's defense team.
Hey, Mark, the names in his black book with like phone numbers and stuff that got leaked, we've got Trump, his ex-wife Ivanka, Melania.
Whoa, I didn't even realize.
Prince Bandar, Bandar Bush from Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Tony Blair, John Huntsman, Ted
These
Kennedy.
Are just people whose contacts he has.
Henry Kissinger, David Koch, Ehud Barak.
David Koch.
Alan Dershowitz, John Kerry, George Mitchell, David Rockefeller, Richard Branson, Michael Bloomfield, Dustin Hoffman, Queen Elizabeth, Saudi King Salman, Edward Rothschild.
Yep.
These are names in the Jeffrey Epstein's like personal contacts.
Yeah, one of his like butlers or something like snuck it out and like
Alfred.
What is that? Okay, I'm gonna.
Well, these are just all the people.
We can't leave all those people are pedophiles.
So yeah, exactly. If there's any instance of devil's advocate that there is, like rich people know other fucking rich people. You look in any of those people's phone books, they're probably gonna have each other's numbers in them too. Does that mean everyone who has over $1 billion is a pedophile?
No, the ones that
all these people know each other.
Was Jeffrey
starred with the squirt emoji next to them? Those ones we should be.
Yeah. Was Jeffrey Epstein on the Federal Reserve?
He was in the CFR, and what else was he was in the CFR? He was in. Yeah, man.
That's interesting. Someone who's never been connected. Well, he's been connected to politicians, but he's never been. Most CFR members are people who are.
Hold on, let me find what else he was.
Well, Howie, this is one thing that like really runs conspiracies in general. Can we at least acknowledge that rich and powerful people probably know other rich and powerful people, and they keep a small social circle?
Yes. I wanted to talk about that as a matter of fact.
Regardless of any extracurricular activities those individuals might be.
For example, they're running with the whole, Trump said Epstein's a terrific guy thing. It's like, yeah, they were in the same social circle. And then about 15 years ago, when he tried to molest a young girl at Mar-a-Lago, he kicked him out and banned him for life. And I kind of feel like Trump was in this circle with like, yes, Epstein and the Clintons and that. And he found out what like sick, deranged people they were and was like, screw this. And I think why.
Screw this. I'm going to run for president and eventually expose them all.
Yes.
I think the indictment of Epstein right now is pretty favorable evidence for Trump.
It favors that narrative. It certainly does.
Because you don't think he would, ultimately he's appointing these people who are running the DOJ, the FBI that are going to prosecute Epstein. And if he was involved with Epstein in this activity, you think he would try to kind of quash this in some way.
I think at some point we have to separate anyone in his Rolodex from like, all right, maybe someone that took 26 trips to Lolita Island or whatever.
Yeah, how many people in Donald Trump's Rolodex took trips on Lolita Island?
Right. So what we do know,
Well, we don't have his Rolodex, JP.
So what we do know is that girl.
I imagine 80% of them.
We do know that girl who filed the affidavit claimed that she had sex with Alan Dershowitz 6 times. And from her testimony, I kind of am believing that one.
That one kind of blew me away with the Alan Dershowitz thing. I actually didn't know that one either.
Oh no, he's very closely connected to Epstein because he was his lawyer. He's like his main defense lawyer.
Yeah, he's renouncing any knowledge or saying he didn't know what the exact allegations were about, which all of these people who say they had no idea what he was up to, it's like, we were joking about this, not very funny jokes, but like kind of laughing about his, like everyone knew Epstein was involved in this kind of shit.
Yeah.
The Lolita Express. Like,
well, the first lawsuit, the first prosecution was like 2005, 2006. And then this Alexander Acosta guy, who was the current labor secretary who just resigned because of this, there was a 53-page indictment, and then somehow he got a plea deal to give Epstein immunity, which seems weird because as far as I can tell, there's no one that was given up in the plea deal. Like it was very one-sided. Like Epstein just got off.
He didn't get immunity.
He got immunity from federal
charges. Sorry,
He just went to jail for state offenses, and he spent like 13 months in prison out of an 18-month sentence, where 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, he was on work release.
Yeah.
Where it's reported he had inappropriate sexual relations while at this work release. Like
he was basically on really cushy parole.
Hey, I found what I was looking for. He was on the board of the Rockefeller Foundation. He was a member of the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations.
That's a weird position for just a regular old hedge fund manager to be in.
That's not really doing
anything. He didn't have any clients.
No investment people do anything about what he was doing.
Right. How did he get the hookup to that job? I did find some evidence of his Mossad ties, though. Ooh. So in his circle, his ex-girlfriend, this
Maxwell.
Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was rumored to be basically his procurer of all these women. Her father, Robert Maxwell, was a very famous Mossad agent. I don't know what you call it, the prime minister, the president of Israel, said that he had done more for this country than anyone could ever know, because basically he was a deep cover agent.
And this is the woman who is basically his madam, essentially.
She ran all his mansions and everything. So she
had sex with the kids too.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
When in Rome.
Yeah.
when in Pedophile Island.
According to this testimony.
I suppose if you're already procuring the women, then why not, right? You're already going down this horrible road to.
No comment.
What's the saying? In for a penny, in for a pound, or something?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
Situations.
Yeah, that is the saying.
That was what I was trying to say. Not why not. that was a bad phrase.
That came across wrong?
Yes, completely wrong.
Hey, Mark, when I was talking about the black book people, that Ehud Barak, is that a Jewish guy?
Yes, he's a Jewish. How did you figure that out, Howie? He was a former prime minister.
I had a feeling.
I believe he died not that long ago, and maybe he was assassinated or something. Let me verify this.
But you're looking that up. I'd like to point out that Hillary Clinton was at Orgy Island twice too. By the way, everyone.
Everyone steered clear.
Oh, and Ehud Barak actually apparently said that this is a 1 day ago article from the Daily Beast. He actually said, I think he's actually alive because this is a recent interview. He said he knew Epstein and visited his island, but never met any girls. Which really, any girls? Like,
why did he go? Why would you go?
I never met any girls though. No girls there.
That was all dudes. We just sat around the campfire and hung out.
Went to the Virgin Islands. Wait, is this Pork Fest? I thought it was Pork Fest.
Barack was at Pork Fest, actually.
One thing that really blew my mind was like the day after he got arrested recently, Nancy Pelosi's daughter came out and tweeted All right, guys. So this thing going down, I think we're going to see some of our faves taken down too. But we got to let the chips fall where they will.
Wait, who's that?
Nancy Pelosi's daughter.
Yeah. She's
Tweeted
like
that.
I forget, she has some role, like bureaucrat role. Maybe she's in the DNC or something like that. I forget, but she tweeted something about that. I'm assuming in reference to Bill Clinton that on Twitter that kind of went around.
And so this isn't the case anymore, but right after it happened too, like in his Wikipedia article, all the mention of Democrats was scrubbed. It's that stuff's gotten back in there as of today. But
and I'm going to try this live because I haven't actually looked, but I've heard a rumor, or I've seen on the internet anyway, that you can't find, if you search Google, and I'm going to do it right as I speak, if you search Google for Bill Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein, and click on images, you cannot find the often circulated pictures of them together. Let's see.
Looking at the one of him and that young prostitute.
There are some. Oh my God. Okay, so I typed Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton. Right. There are a couple like side by side pictures, like not together, but like photoshopped together. Obviously, like not even meant to be together. Just the headlines of articles. But the fifth picture is Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, and I have not seen a picture of Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein on this whole page.
I saw some articles saying
that is, I mean,
it's my fourth picture.
If you were going to be,
that's because I hate Trump more, so it got bumped up.
I think that's right.
You should be using DuckDuckGo though, by the way.
And it looks from like 30 years ago because Trump's hair is like brown as fuck.
Is it the one with
he looks pretty young in that picture.
He looks real young there. Wow.
The girl he's standing next to looks hammered.
No, that must be a different picture than I have.
This is at some party.
We're on different Googles. Different Googles.
See if it's different if you use DuckDuckGo.
I also have one of Clinton with Trump from a little, not that, doesn't seem like it's that long ago. And I've seen these pictures before. I know they exist. I see no picture of like Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein. Like,
Mark, real time, search it on DuckDuckGo.
Okay, let's try that.
This
is what we do here on Conspiracy Corner. We just like search the internet as live. Let's see.
Sometimes it's necessary.
I don't really see any on this. Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
There's like Photoshop pictures of them together.
Even DuckDuckGo doesn't seem to have them. And
maybe Bill Clinton was smart enough to not get photographed ever with.
No, I've seen pictures of them together.
So you read in the affidavit how Epstein kind of like low key threatened this girl. Like,
I guess I can't blame Google alone because I'm not finding it on DuckDuckGo either.
Do you think the girl in the affidavit is even more afraid of the Clintons because of all the people we know they've killed?
Well, she never mentions Bill Clinton, does she?
She does.
Well,
like,
if the
he definitely wasn't having sex with young girls.
She mentioned she never had sex with him or saw him doing anything. That's what
how did Jeffrey Epstein not make the Clinton kill list?
Maybe he has enough money.
More powerful than Bill Clinton.
Maybe he has leverage.
He's probably got leverage. He's probably got more money, and he's probably got Israeli Mossad connections.
So you think Jeffrey Epstein is more powerful than the Clintons?
It's possible.
I don't really think that, but it's if you are to be believed that he is someone who gathers dirt on the all-powerful for intelligence purposes of whatever entity, be it our own CIA or Mossad or what have you, it does stand to reason he seems like he'd be at the top of that food chain. And if he really has stuff on these people, then yeah, possibly he is in some weird way.
Won't we see? The proof will be in the pudding. When
he's not more powerful now because I can't picture a scenario where he goes free again.
What about if he has all this leverage on a ton of people? He's like, you want to see Prince Andrew, you want to see Bill Clinton, you want to see all these people in the news, or you can sentence me to some jail, and then I'll, you actually fly me off to some secluded island where I spend the rest of my life.
Well, my idea is that, like, I guess my conspiracy theory and the way my brain plays out, or he can threaten that, and the next day I'll read in the Times that he hung himself in his fucking jail cell. And that's the end of it. And
do you think he doesn't have a contingency plan? Like either I go or this stuff gets released. Like it doesn't have to be him going to his safe.
Well, it's possible. It's possible, but I'm sure they have other contingency plans for that.
Hopefully, he's got a Deadman switch going right to Julian Assange. Oh, Julian Assange in jail now too.
I don't know.
Brian's in the chat.
I'm not saying it's not possible, but you're making this sound so easy. Like it's like a movie or something like that. It just sounds too like you're making this sound too easy.
It seems like a movie. You see his like Temple of Moloch and his orgy island that he flies all the elite of the world on the.
You know what I mean? Too easy. This is like this Jeffrey Epstein thing is like a contradiction in conspiracy. We have a conspiracy that there's this whole cabal of rich and powerful people, but one rich and powerful people can hold them all hostage and there's nothing they can do about it. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, JB, interesting you should bring this up because I've been recently rewatching a movie called The Bank Job starring Jason Statham. It was on HBO. And I
like where this is going.
I love where this is going.
The premise of the movie is this militant black supremacist in the 70s has blackmail information to blackmail the crown prince of Britain, all of these, or the princess or whatever. But being the 70s, it's stored in a safe deposit box in a bank. So MI6 hires Jason Statham to tunnel into the bank and steal the photographs, therefore eliminating this guy's leverage. Maybe somehow the FBI, CIA eliminated Epstein's leverage. They got this information, and now he doesn't hold it over them anymore.
I might not be hearing this right, but are you accusing Jason Statham of being involved in this?
No. I'm saying maybe he was hired.
Allegedly.
Maybe he was hired by the CIA to tunnel into a bank and get Jeffrey Epstein's photographs that he would otherwise blackmail the world with.
So now they can kill him.
Yes.
Problem solved.
So a movie kind of like this too. Have you guys seen Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick?
Yes.
He died kind of suspiciously, like right before it came out, and there were like 25 minutes or so that got cut out that have never been seen. And a lot of people think he was like exposing like these crazy sex things that the elites are like involved in. And
my problem with that is if they're going to censor that movie, why even leave it what they did? Because it still shows a secret sex elite cult.
It's a good point. But another point I want to make, though, when we were talking about like the oligarchy of elites to kind of run this shit, and we're not going to say deep state anymore, but whatever. I think that this group.
Yeah.
That's just a personal thing.
I think it's higher than an American thing. It's not just American or Israel or whatever. These are like people that don't have allegiance to a certain country. They rule shit. If America goes to crap, they'll go somewhere else, and it's a bigger, wider global conspiracy, if you ask me.
And one sad sack can hold these types of people hostage to the point where he's made over $1 billion from them.
No, but I mean,
we're back to that implausibility thing.
They'll go through a lot just to avoid embarrassment. Like
to the point of making him over $1 billion.
Hey, if the guy with the rock can make $1 million,
is $1 billion really that much nowadays? With a
yes, it is. $1 billion is still a lot of money.
With the money these people have, how much money do the Rockefellers?
No, $1 billion is still a lot of money.
So JB, I think you're kind of overlooking the fact that you don't have
not in like stocks and assets.
You don't have to
bribes.
You don't have to blackmail $1 billion to become a billionaire. You can blackmail $100 million from 50 different people. And there you have your nest egg right there. Once you have $100 million, you could go turn it into $1 billion. If you have
if I had $100 million, I could make $1 billion in a year.
Yeah.
Fair. I'm not okay. Maybe suggesting that the entire $1 billion came from bribes and blackmail.
It also just came out.
He did make some legitimate business deals along.
Yeah, maybe he did do some investing in hedge funding.
I'm sure he did more than zero investment in actual.
Yeah,
is that what that investing? Hedge funding is that what it's normally called?
He called up Hedgie McHedgeworth and said,
his lawyer's claiming right now too that he's not a billionaire. They
said, "Hey, Hedgeworth, I got to make some money in hedge funds. You know anything about that, Hedgeworth?"
His lawyer's saying he only has $500 million.
Oh, see, that's nothing.
Yeah.
All right, JB, I want to hear your best skeptic theory of the least conspiratorial version of the Jeffrey Epstein situation. You are a resident as skeptic as they get. Although half the time we seem to convince you of the whole thing.
The least conspiratorial is that this guy's a scumbag. He was running some type of child sex trafficking ring, and there are some high-profile people entangled. But as as far as that goes, I don't think there's enough evidence to link, like half the government or, people with over $1 billion. And I just kind of find it, well, now that I know that he doesn't have as much money as I thought that he does, maybe it could have been through more illicit means, but, that's probably where I am.
So one, Clinton flew on that plane 26 times. That's beyond coincidental. That's beyond, I need to go to Africa.
But then I can easily say, for all you know, he could be in charge of Epstein and be collecting the dirt for him, and that's how the Clintons are as powerful as they are now. I can say whatever I want because I don't need evidence because this is a conspiracy.
The Clintons.
That's just as plausible as him being complicit in a child sex trafficking.
Well, we know how the Clintons
he could be the boss.
The Clintons are power.
Global charity that wasn't a charity.
But before that, the Clintons are also
while he was governor. But
they're also so powerful and above the law because they left the White House with all these FBI files on everyone.
And how do we not know that Epstein might have just been in his pocket and been collecting information for him so they can run their fucking illicit, I don't know.
I'm willing to listen to
empire.
So is JB disputing our conspiracy by setting forth an even more elaborate conspiracy?
For an alternate, more elaborate conspiracy.
I like it.
Basically.
I'm not going to argue against it at all.
I think it's even crazier than you think.
So the news people, I saw the news people lamenting that the worst part about this is now people are going to think these crazy conspiracy theories like Pizzagate, all these elites involved.
The worst part. No, the worst part's the molested children, I would say.
Now it's going to give credence to these theories that all the elite are having sex with children. It's like, this is gaslighting. It's like, we see these elite billionaires getting arrested for pedophilia, but that doesn't mean elite. Doesn't mean elite billionaires involved in all this pedophilia. It's crazy talk.
Oh yeah, like Nexium. Who was involved in Nexium? The Hollywood elite. Well, I guess it's a stretch to say Hollywood elites when it was the cast.
Also connected to the Clinton Foundation, by the way. Our last edition of Conspiracy Corner was on the Nexium cult. You have to join the Patreon to hear that. We can't give you 2 for free. And we also talked about Pizzagate very early on. And how many weird things need to happen? How many weird events that are, many of which are true and undenied? Like Nexium is a completely accepted thing that exists. Like no one denies it exists. No one denies the connections to the Clintons. They would just deny that they knew that it was a cult or whatever. How many of these things need to exist before it's not even a conspiracy, before we just agree that there's mass pedophile weird sex situations going on in elite circles? And I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying
I'm not saying that there isn't pedophilia going on in elite circles.
I wasn't talking to you at that point.
Just as there's pedophilia going on in like working class neighborhoods and like destitute places in the Rust Belt, there's pedophiles in every along the socioeconomic ladder.
There's difference in pedophilia that happens between organized pedophilia by the most elite people in society, though.
This is
the poor people can't afford this shit.
But now you raise another question that I was thinking about, like basically.
No, I can't.
You kind of raised something I was gonna probably leave for like my closing quote unquote statement is what that statement is essentially saying there's only 1 or 2 possibilities here. Either becoming rich and powerful turns you into a deranged psychopath and you start doing these types of things, or only people who are like this become rich and powerful.
I would not agree with
either one of those.
I would not agree with
the kind of people that run for office.
But you're saying like you're making it sound as if there's a concentration or propensity for the elite to engage in this type of
people that go for
more
power,
than the general population.
The type of people that go for power.
If you're not suggesting that, then I'll take that back. But if you are suggesting that, there's only 2 scenarios.
So you understand the concept how the worst get on top?
I'm familiar.
Yeah, so I think it would apply that how the worst get on top and how, as it relates to politics, the same rationale easily moves over to like pedophilia rings. So yeah, the worst get on top of politics, and it makes sense that those worst would also be involved in some of the worst things we can think of and be able to organize it on larger levels and get away with it more. Not that a level of power makes one have a propensity for those terrible things more or less. I wouldn't say that. But I would say that if you are already the worst and you are already taking advantage of a system or working a system in a way that gets those worst on top, it stands to reason from that point that those worst on top would continue to involve themselves in some of the worst activities we can imagine.
Do you guys not agree that the people that seek power over others, those positions might not be attractive to psychopaths?
No, absolutely. Yeah,
I suppose, but I feel like
I can see exactly why it would be.
But I just, why would a psychopath, like a megalomaniac has to feel like emotion, right? Maybe I don't clinically know what a psychopath is, because why would a psychopath be motivated to want power over others?
Because they're psycho.
If they can't feel like, I guess, empathy, maybe it's a lack of empathy. I guess they do have emotions to sort of sense.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
It's not a lack of emotion. It's a lack of feeling the emotions of others. So it's
empathy. It's a sense of empathy.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't have your own emotions. You might be sad, depressed, happy, whatever if you're a psychopath. You just don't have any way to connect with that with others. So you can have your own emotions as a psychopath. I'm not a psychopath, I don't think, but from what I've read, and you could easily take advantage and be cruel to other people because you're so disconnected from their feelings about what you.
But I think being a megalomaniac, you need to feed from the crowd a bit. If you can't get stuff from other people, then I don't think that's a very appealing position for you.
Has everybody heard Odie's episode where he interviewed Juanita Broderick about her violent rape at the hands of Bill Clinton? Like, yeah. I believe that, and I believe some of these other women have accused him of.
I find her very credible.
Like, if you're going to tell me that this violent rapist was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 22 times, he's been at this orgy island, he's been in Africa with him and Kevin Spacey, and he did not do anything with these young girls. Like, that's crazy. And the Clintons are some of the worst people in the world. Like, if I was in some alternate timeline where I had to vote, and it was either like Mussolini or Hillary Clinton, I'm like, I guess Mussolini.
Are you sure you want this quote out there?
Are you sure about that?
Hillary's been there twice, and she was probably just drinking.
I might abstain, but I don't know if I'd vote for Mussolini.
Well, you have to vote Mussolini or Hillary Clinton.
You have to put Hillary. You have to give
Mussolini's story. He's not.
You have to give Hillary Clinton. You have to put her in a world where she has absolute power. She's a dictator.
Look what she did to Libya.
Yeah, what would she be if she was an authoritarian?
We saw he died. That's what she did there.
Yeah.
That was a laughter that she gave in reference to rape on the street of Gaddafi.
Sodomized to death with.
And I don't care what you think about Gaddafi. Maybe you don't want your world leaders laughing to death about rape on the street. I don't know. Maybe that's not the best quality.
She saw worse at the.
I've seen worse at the Epstein mansion.
Yeah, she was probably there just drinking adrenochrome by the gallon.
Are we going full adrenochrome on this podcast? That was happening.
I've heard that word in like 10 years.
I heard it from my boss at work today when we were talking about this. He brought it up.
Well, we got there, Howie. Talk about adrenochrome. Give me a 90-second rant on adrenochrome. Go. I'm not timing you though, so I'm gonna drink some wine.
It's produced by the pineal gland. I guess you got to kill somebody, take it out of there. Apparently, if you torture them and they spike the adrenaline, it's more tasty or potent. I don't know.
Wasn't that Fear and Loathing thing?
That's where I first heard of it.
Yeah.
Every other time has been in mention with the Clintons and Pizza.
So you torture people, get it to spike, kill them, then you drink it or eat it, and then that makes you, I guess, super high if you're a crazy.
That's how I understand it, but people who actually do it are probably like,
that's how I understand what he's talking about. A few ceremonies I've been involved in, but I'm not.
There's probably all these Satanist adrenochrome eaters out there being like, he has no idea what he's talking about. That's not how it works at all.
Oh, you got to mix it with OJ, man. Otherwise, it sucks otherwise.
Yes.
Wow, that took a turn, didn't it?
So
where do we go from?
If you're not an Epstein conspiracy theorist, how do you explain the plea deal in 2008?
Who, me?
Well, you're not an Epstein conspiracy theorist, so I'm directing it to you. Yes.
Well,
why would he get such a sweetheart deal when clearly it would not have been hard to put the guy away for the rest of his life with a minimal amount of investigative work?
How about his sentence compared to Ross Ulbricht's sentence? Like, Jesus Christ.
One is a multimillionaire and the other is Ross Ulbricht, for starters. And
One
second,
made an e-commerce website. The other was involved in underage human trafficking.
well, money. I guess you
like
forgot.
that, it does have.
I guess you've forgotten what kind of justice system you live under, and
Unjustice.
so I think that really answers that question. But honestly, Rico, I can't explain that.
I don't think it could be completely. I don't think it can be completely explained by the wealth factor.
Well, no, I wasn't trying to explain the plea deal by the wealth. I was just comparing the navigating the justice system as, Epstein versus Ulbricht. And,
that plea deal,
the plea deal in itself. No, actually, I can't.
He was at least someone very important. I mean, you there's no way you're just getting that deal unless it's explained by he had Alan Dershowitz and apparently Ken Starr was one of his lawyers too. Like He has every lawyer, Johnny Cochran excluded, that you've ever heard of.
Hey, this might sound unrelated at first, but the fact that we have two tiers of justice and everybody knows it now, it's ridiculous. I'm going to seg to this Area 51 thing where we have over 1 million people signing up to storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. And now the government and the media are putting out things like, oh, you're going to be met with force. They're like, that idea of, well, they can't stop all of us is kind of scaring them. When this injustice system, when this idea gets around that they can't stop all of us, when are people going to rise up and
we right now throw down the gauntlet that if we get to a certain Patreon level, we too will go to Area 51.
I'd love to, but Howie, both statements are true.
I'd love to.
Both statements are true. So it's all a matter of what we decide. They can't stop all of us, and it will be met with force.
Actually,
but they can't shoot all of us.
I think the government could.
I mean, they could.
If Swalwell got in office and nuked us all, I guess.
Well, they could nuke all of us, but I don't think the government could shoot 1 million people who stormed.
No, they couldn't. They couldn't shoot 1 million people. Jesus Christ, they would be overrun. They would shoot a lot of people.
Well, I guess
most
they'll
of
see them coming, and then there'll be planes with surface to air.
Yeah, just drop cluster bombs. I mean, it would be. Well, it would not be a good look for the government to start cluster bombing citizens running out.
Here's the question to tie it back
That's going to make millions more want to go against.
Well, that's what you were arguing, Rico.
I'm saying completely but I'm saying they could. They could stop everyone.
No, they couldn't. No, they couldn't. They could stop the 300 and some million people in America.
Well, not literally all of us.
I'm saying, I thought you meant 1 million people. I think
they could stop 1 million people if they wanted.
I think they could.
I don't think so.
They could have tanks. They could have. They might take a few casualties, but there's going to be 1 million dead.
Oh no, they're all going to die. All those soldiers will die. 1 million people. That's. Do you know how many people?
That's a lot. Most of these people, I click the thing. Most of these aren't real people that are going.
Right, but if 1 million people actually showed up and were like, "Nope, we're going for it,"
1 million people like Howie who would get
how many soldiers did they got there? At most, 20,000.
Well, you wouldn't have to kill all 1 million, and they wouldn't just use soldiers; they would use planes,
drones,
tanks. Yes,
drones. And that makes the other.
They could mine.
They kill 90% of them before they even reach the gate. Howie.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Yes, with missiles and drones and the way that we kill.
They don't have all that shit in every space. They don't have all that stuff.
They couldn't fly.
It's not World War I. They're not gonna be charging at the million with bayonets here. They're gonna destroy them from the air.
I wish that is how they defended Area.
Okay, the only person on this podcast who was a soldier says 1 million people storming Area 51, the 1 million people win. Hands down. I
believe him.
Okay. I have to say so.
Just if I was one of those soldiers, all right, guys, we've got 1 million people coming in.
Okay, all right. Howie, I concede if 1 million people can assemble outside of Area 51 without the government stopping them and then start to storm the base, they couldn't be stopped. But 1 million people would not gather in one point to storm the base. That would not occur.
Okay.
You'd have to have some pretty psychotic.
At the rate that Facebook thing's growing, it's going to be 18 million by September.
So what percentage of America would 1 million people be?
It's a
1/315th.
So you don't think 1/315th% of America is dumb enough to go and do this?
This is in Mexico or New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can recruit some regular non-New Mexicans.
The funniest thing is,
you know what? There's some empty.
Let's just get the old Mexicans.
There's some empty property in Stanley, New Mexico. Everyone can stay. post up at Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico house.
Oh yeah, that's one of his places that was mentioned.
It's like 26. What a weird place to have.
The Pancho Villa Ranch. It was called.
Your four residences are New York, Palm Beach, Virgin Islands, and Stanley, New Mexico.
I spent a bit of time in underground facility in New Mexico, in Manzano Mountain.
Maybe, do you think he has like an underground tunnel from that ranch to Area 51?
No.
Who knows?
But it's so funny though.
The first conspiracy Howie didn't believe.
If there ever was alien stuff at Area 51, there's no way it's still there now. Like they would have moved it by the time that all.
At 54 now, we all know that. Here's the question: Can you simultaneously believe that the moon landing was faked and also believe that the government had alien technology since the 50s or whatever? What was that? Was that Area 51? The 50s, 40s, whenever? Can you believe both those things?
Well, if you have an advanced technology that can traverse the what is it, the Van Aken belt or whatever?
Van Allen
boat. It's Mr. Van Allen. It's rolling in his grave right now.
Do you think we never got any newer alien technology? Do you think we only have 1950s alien technology?
You can't believe the moon landing's fake and that we have alien technology.
The aliens probably have way better stuff now. We need to get that.
The aliens came through the pyramid in Antarctica. We already covered this.
That's a good point. Forgot about that.
Oh, Antarctica, another place where we work in tandem with Russia.
Don't tell me Epstein has a place in Antarctica too.
No, I want one though.
Don't even tell me. All right. So what's the conclusion here, folks? I think we're going to go do a little poll of each other. And
is your poll question, do we think that Epstein and other elites will go down? Names we know?
Okay, let's ask that. It wasn't, but let's make it that because that's more interesting.
I was going to say, do you think Bill Clinton's a pedophile?
Oh, let's do all the questions.
Right now.
These are all good questions. Let's answer all of them.
Okay.
We'll each answer 3 questions. What was your original question, Mark?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
It was all right. Well,
I was making it up as I went.
So will these 2? 1, is Bill Clinton a pedophile? And 2, will Epstein and names we know go down for this?
I'll take it first. I'm going to say Bill Clinton is a pedophile, but B, we'll never know that because he's not going to go down at all. But I could see if anybody big is going to go down, I think the more likely suspect would be like Alan Dershowitz, someone very directly connected to Epstein. And I think Bill Clinton is too powerful. If Bill Clinton goes down, then this is like way bigger than any of us could have imagined because Bill Clinton can't go down. Bill Clinton's Bill Clinton. Like he doesn't go down. So although he does go down.
But wait a minute. Who is Bill Clinton revered by? Obviously the right.
Everyone I've ever met in Los Angeles.
Really?
Do they still like I feel like
because he's not lefty enough for them.
No, like no one I know like
still worshipped as a god.
I feel like they've lost their usefulness and could be thrown under the bus.
No, I do too.
I mean, I don't think they're useful. You may be right.
Throw them down for the whole Russiagate thing too. Somebody's got to go down for that eventually.
I almost drank a bottle of wine. This is awesome. Congratulations, everybody.
All right, Rico, your turn for the questions.
Other people talk.
What were the questions? Is
Bill Clinton a pedophile? And people whose names we know go down for this.
Yes
I
to
don't know
both.
if he's a pedophile. He might be a rapist. Sorry.
I think both. I don't think you fly on that plane 26 times, and just by
I don't fly
coincidence.
26 times unless I'm getting laid one of those times.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
All 26, preferably.
I'll answer it quick too because I know Clinton's a pedophile, and people who are famous or names people will know are going to go down.
Can you name who do you think is most likely to go down? I need names.
Well, yeah, definitely Alan Dershowitz, but I think there's a good chance that Clinton will get caught up in this all. I mean, he's had so much sin, like the scales of justice have to fucking kick in at some time, right?
If there's any justice in the world, it seems like Bill Clinton would be the best candidate to finally face it. For something. For one of the many things. Of all the things we talked about, even if it's just his actual known policies that threw many, like millions of black people in.
Everyone would be placated.
Would be
all the conspiracy theorists, everyone, we would be satisfied. Like, all right, good, we did it. And then the deep state can go on doing their thing.
And then Conspiracy Corner replaces CNN as a mainstream program. What if we're the new CNN?
Do you think like the trial, they'll have court reporters will like InfoWars be in there, like reporting from them? That'd be awesome.
They'll kind of try their damnedest to be.
What about a guy like John Kerry? He was listed in contacts of
Lurch being a pedo. Easy.
Yeah, and he's nothing to anyone now. I mean, he's not a former president. He's just a guy who ran that lost. He's
just a piece of shit.
A jobber Secretary of State. Didn't really accomplish much. Pretty wrestling fans.
So, JB, Clinton a pedophile? Will people we know go down?
No to Clinton. Because I don't think he is. I don't actually think he is. And even if I did, I'd probably still say no because
he's at least a rapist, right?
Because I'm fairly certain, allegedly, supposedly, probably,
I've shaken.
But I don't actually think that he's.
How did it feel, Howie, when he shook his hand?
Kind of rapey.
That's all the evidence I need, folks. Good night.
Wait, before we end this, I don't have a fully formed conspiracy, but my research took me down a road I did not expect to find. So, Jeffrey Epstein donated $2.5 million to a university along with this Leslie Wexner guy.
Harvard.
Nope. Part of it was to go to their new football complex.
Penn State?
Nope.
Brigham Young.
The Ohio State University.
Okay, I'm convinced.
I'm in.
Epstein and Wexner donated to the Ohio State football program. Indirectly, you could say that, or you could say directly, whatever. I'll go directly. Epstein and Jerry Sandusky, in my opinion, look pretty similar. So a working conspiracy, I still got to iron out the kinks, is Epstein is a Ohio State football fan.
How old
he wanted to take down
How old is Sandusky?
Penn State. I don't know exactly.
Could Epstein be his son?
70s. I think Epstein set up Sandusky.
Wow.
Are you trying to one-up me here?
You heard it here first, folks.
I have some evidence of this, JB.
Do you?
Oh, you actually have evidence?
He donated, well, not of him setting up Sandusky. That's why I said it's a working conspiracy.
You should have got the authorities.
Yeah, because maybe you're talking to the wrong people right now. Like,
I think I need a little bit more for that second link. Like, I have evidence that he donated money that went to the Ohio State football program.
Epstein and Weinstein both donated a ton of money to Chuck Schumer.
There is an Epstein-Weinstein connection, it does seem as well. But
yeah, birds of a feather.
I've never heard of Weinstein being a pedophile, but I guess it's not a
but does it sound that crazy?
Yeah,
I'm sure he's got pedophile friends.
well, sexual deviant is already on his
it's on his
CV,
business card. Yeah.
Once you're into weird shit, from what I hear, you have to get weirder and weirder. So if he starts with adults, you know where that's going from there.
Yeah, but seriously though, as a power control move, to get someone on film doing that, like that's the ultimate control. That even if it's maybe you're tricked, maybe it's offered to you, like we'll give you all this money and power, but you have to do this. So we have collateral. Like all these cults have collateral. Like,
what's your collateral, Howie?
What do you mean? My cult never got off the ground.
It's like I tried. I mean,
yeah. Nobody wants to be a Zen Taoist. I don't know what to say.
I'll join. What do I have to do? We'll talk about it off air, obviously.
No, that's a beautiful part. In Zen Taoism, you do whatever you want.
I'm already doing that. This is great.
I know. Yeah, you might as well join then. All right.
In.
I dubbed you're now Jonas Mark. All right, great. You're in.
Whoa, no one mentioned I had to go by Jonas.
Well, yeah, that's another part of it.
Everyone has to change their name to Jonas.
When I started my fake cult, I was big into Weezer and that song, My Name is Jonas. I really liked it. So when you joined, you become like, you would be Jonas J.
Everyone's a Jonas.
Jonas Rico, Jonas Mark. Yeah, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I specifically had to be Jonas.
No. We're all Jonas.
Sounds good.
Except for the status. They're not.
JB, you in?
For the cult?
I'm sorry, Jonas Lubin? Or would it be Jonas JB? Or Jonas John?
Jonas. Yeah, why not?
They all work.
All right. Rico, are you the last holdout?
I'm in. Of course I'm in.
All right, so we just started a cult.
Oh, wait, we might need a new pride level to join the Zen House.
Oh, yeah. This will
if you want to be in the cult, it's like $5 a month or something.
No, more than that. At least
I'd have to put up to get like a newsletter or something.
Start a new $50 level, the Zen House level. For as little as $50 a month. You can hear all
No
the
sex
audio.
and minors, though, folks. Don't save your
Yeah.
money. That's what you
Save your money.
That is the one.
it's not what you're getting.
That's the $1,000 level.
It's not one of those cults.
No, it's not one. We'll connect you to Jeffrey Epstein if you're interested in that. The course kind of thing. All right. I don't know what my other question was. Just conclusions. How about my question is conclusions?
How about my question is, what should the
Wow.
next conspiracy corner be?
Well, I'd like to
Well,
go
that
back
should
to the
be
one we were
OJ.
originally going to do, which we're still going to do it. Did OJ really?
Well, let's see what the voters say.
The voters did.
No, I was thoroughly
voted for
disappointed we
that.
didn't do OJ today.
Our pride. So every month we each choose a conspiracy theory, and the Lions of Liberty Pride votes on it. And OJ didn't do it, won the vote. So we ignore the vote because of this Epstein breaking news. So in my view,
Democracy's dumb.
there is no vote this month, because we're just going to do the one we were supposed to do, and then we'll put it.
Unless something really cool comes up in the meantime.
Unless something
then we'll
once
do that.
again really cool happens, then we'll do the
Well,
same.
I shouldn't really call this really cool or really
Well,
interesting.
yeah, really cool is the wrong terminology.
I've been putting my foot in my mouth a lot today.
Unless
Well,
Area,
cool. It is cool if a pedophile is arrested.
Yeah.
unless Area 51 gets stormed.
Well, yeah,
we had to go on the ground footage.
I'm going to say it right now. If we get to $2,000 a month, which we're $1,125, $1,125. Why am I doing math live? $1,125 away from. If we get there before Area 51 gets stormed, we'll send somebody to Area 51. I'm just going to say that.
Not it.
I haven't talked to anybody, but we'll do it.
Obviously, it's going to be you, Mark. You're the closest.
All right, I'm fucking going to Area 51 if we get $2,000 a month by then. Boom.
Do you have a living will? Who gets
I'll
lines?
get one by then. You do. I give it all to you.
All right.
Howie
Well,
becomes 100% owner of Lions.
That's the end of that.
I'll finally have the email address.
That's what you think, but even you can't do it because I can't do it.
Just before you go to Area 51, write down the password to the Mark Claridge, lionsliberty.com.
All right.
all
Any
it
other conclusions, JB? What is your overall thought on? Let's not go with Epstein himself, but you were on our Pizzagate show, and I think even by the end of that, you were like, something weird is going on here. So, but you did express some skepticism earlier. So, what are your overall thoughts on the idea that there are several or some sort of, I guess, elite pedophile, weird sex Satanist type weird shit going on? Very vague question.
Well, ultimately, it's kind of what I was talking to you about before, about the propensity for people in these positions to do these types of things. And like, it has to be one or the other. Either the only way to become rich and powerful is to be deranged, and then this makes perfect sense. Or like rich and like wealth and power drives you to maybe a sense of invincibility or a descendant to base desires or criminality because you feel like there are no consequences.
I don't see why those are mutually exclusive, though.
Well, maybe they're not. Actually,
It's-
both can
it's
be.
both, you know?
Both could be acting at the same time. That's entirely true.
That's my overall theory.
But because it's like there's so many things that have to go wrong for this to be as widespread as some people are insinuating. Like there's like everyone you can think of that is influential, like a who's who is involved in this. Like basically anyone you've ever heard of has some semblance of power is a sexual deviant of some sort.
I bet
And
John
just-
Podesta is, though. John
statistically,
Podesta
that
must
seems
be.
implausible unless that rich wealth and power selects for that person. Do you see what I mean?
I think you're going too broad with that. It's not every rich and powerful person. I think there's probably a section, a percentage of people, whether you're rich, poor, middle class, that are deviant. And some people are going to be rich. And you're going to be able to connect to these other rich people. If you're a deviant in power with a bunch of money, you're going to be able to do that easier. Say there's 10% of the billionaires in the world are pedophiles. I hope it's not that high, but just say that's the percentage. Well, they're going to be prominent. You're like, wow, it seems like everyone who is rich and powerful is a pedophile, when in actuality, it's just there's so much name recognition for those people. But there's plenty of rich and powerful people who have no links to this at all.
Well, yeah, that's fair, and that's kind of my point. And what I was saying before, all these people know. Let's just even say that it's 10%. Like
I'm afraid of society if it is.
Let's just say theoretically it's 10%. Like, so that's going to require 90% of the people who are on the same level know these people to be complicit. For it to be as wide-reaching of a conspiracy as this, there's going to be a lot of complicit people who don't engage in this behavior, who do nothing about it, who are just as rich and powerful.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think everyone who's rich and powerful necessarily has to know. Certainly not everyone who's rich and powerful runs in the same circles as Jeffrey Epstein. Plenty do, but plenty don't,
This conspiracy is casting a pretty wide net. That, like, it's like the degrees of like separation type of thing, like Kevin Bacon bullshit. You guys know what I'm talking about. You don't have to turn more than like 3 or 4 times before you can connect any wealthy fuck to another wealthy fuck. That's like 3 people away.
Wealthy fucks is probably a 1 away from most of each other.
Yeah. So there's a lot of complicit people here. If it's like a real, like, wide-ranging conspiracy, not just like a few rich fucks who are doing very despicable things. If it goes to like, if we're talking about people in the government and people in like British royalty, and they're all getting together, and no one is saying anything that knows these people who are not complete pedophiles and despicable human beings. No one ever does anything about it, ever.
Isn't this getting back to the whole thing, like, not connected to the Jerry Sandusky, but when he was being brought on trial, everyone said, well, how could you not know? Well, it's not just because you run in the same circles or you know a person doesn't mean that they're broadcasting it to you. They could have a public life and a private life, and you might see them at the country club or play tennis with them or whatever, and then you go your separate ways. So just because you know a person doesn't mean you know their private sex life.
You would know this because we know this. And this is like how long has this been an open secret? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, with Epstein,
like a decade.
So how could they not know?
Well, that's true. I mean, we've known Epstein.
Come on, be serious.
15 years.
Yeah. How long has this been an open secret? So this is a lot of like, if this is like a far-reaching like conspiracy, like an organized thing, there's all these people are deranged.
Well, I don't think it would be organized in the way you're thinking. I think it's like more like informal organization. It's more like some of us know, and some of us kind of know we're helping each other, and some of us kind of know I have footage on you. I don't think there's like a meeting where this is all discussed ever. I think it's a informal organization in a sense, and that's just the way.
Okay, so I get the feeling like this is a very formal thing. Like this is like an organization. They have rituals because you alluded back to the Pizzagate thing. Like this is some type of like cult like thing going on.
No, I don't think it's that way at all.
Completely complicit with.
I think
no one ever says anything.
Epstein is an evil guy who got dirt on these people. He's not friends with the people that he has dirt on. He interacted with them. He got blackmail and once you get blackmailed, you're not going to be like, hey, that Jeffrey Epstein, he's a great guy. What's he up to this weekend?
That's maybe I'm just underestimating how good this Epstein guy is, because I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone who's that powerful, and someone even threatens me, even an inkling, I'm going to try to have them killed by any means necessary.
Don't mess.
Of course, and that's a no-brainer. Be serious. By any means necessary, I'm gonna get rid of this guy if I'm like fucking Prince Andrew. I don't understand why these people didn't do something about this, because I would in a heartbeat. I'm like, I don't care what it takes, get rid of this guy. That'd be the first thing I said.
Again, do not mess.
Maybe that's why you haven't been blackmailed yet. People know this.
Yeah.
They know
why aren't these people saying this? This is my point. Listen, think about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. But maybe they're worried that if something happens to them, there's a failsafe.
I think if you run in these kind of levels, you need someone who you think that can provide this.
Or maybe,
and you have to inlay a certain amount of trust to them. And that person may have just been arrested.
Maybe they're like, yeah,
maybe.
I really don't like this Epstein dude's holding this over me, but I do kind of like having sex with these young girls, so I'll just keep going to his big parties.
I guess that's
What's the worst
also
that
a
could happen?
possibility.
It's like, man, this sucks. What a jerk. But whatever. I'll just keep going to these orgies with these girls and whatever.
What's the worst that can happen? And then something worse than we thought happens. Except usually it doesn't. But it's a bad example. But it did to these guys. I'm buying the Prince Andrew thing because I found that testimony very interesting. And it included pictures of this young girl with Prince Andrew with his arm around her. That doesn't prove that he had sex with her.
And with her and Epstein and them, like other places
and
too.
It's the same lady in various locations. Epstein, like supposed madam. So I find her testimony compelling.
For some strange reason, I'm very inclined to believe that. I don't know why. Maybe it's one of those conspiracy things. I want to believe Prince Andrew's involved, but I just believe it. I don't know what it is, but
who is his wife, Fergie?
Yeah, she was.
Andrew's wife was Fergie, yeah. Princess Diana. Not Fergie, the Black Eyed Peas.
That was Prince Charles with Diana, wasn't
Whatever.
Yeah, Prince Charles was Diana.
Don't look at me for history of the British family. I actually had no idea they were different people. Whatever. The point is, yeah.
Are they lizards?
Not Fergie from Black Eyed Peas is still true, though.
Yeah, it's definitely not Fergie from Black Eyed Peas.
Okay, so
did Howie freeze or is he just?
No, I was just being still.
At some point,
that was very.
At some point in the near future, Howie is going to literally become Mance Raider. Like he's so close already. Yeah, all you need to do is go bald, and you're almost there.
Not going to happen. I'm just going to go totally gray.
Okay, well, I look forward to that. You look a lot like Gandalf then. I can't wait to do podcasts in 20 years when Howie's just gray. It's going to be so good. I'm going where it's going to happen. Like you're not.
Yeah, I'll be more like a Richard Gere. If he had a big beard.
Who's probably been to Sex Island too, if the rumors are true.
I don't think so. Come on now.
Just married Richard Gere. He's a great actor.
No, definitely not. Yeah, very good.
And that whole gerbil thing was bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, it's such a lie.
That was like an internet rumor before the internet somehow.
I thought that was Rod Stewart.
No, it was Richard Gere.
That's the whole point. It transferred to different people because it was nonsense.
But it was a lie about Richard Gere. He would not do that.
How he knows about him. He would never do that. Right, any more words on this?
No.
Or should we talk about the moon a little more or what? Or should we do a bonus of the bonus? I'm open to any ideas, guys.
Whatever. Now that I ran upstairs and peed, I'm good to go.
The moon.
You want to talk about the moon, JB?
All
right, good night. That's all the time we have, everybody. Thank you for tuning in for this very special Conspiracy Corner. If you are on Patreon, maybe we'll do like a very quick bonus segment just for you guys so you still feel special. Otherwise, download this now. Even if you're not done, well, if you've gotten this far, you probably are almost done listening because it's.
Listen to it twice. It's so good.
But if you want to listen to it again, this is a very special preview. It's because of our demonetization on YouTube. I don't know. We wanted to talk about it in some way, and we decided to demonetize one episode. So that's how we're dealing with that. If you like what we do, if you enjoy our content, please do consider monetizing and going to patreon.com/lionsliberty and joining at one of our many, many levels, which have many, many various features, including free t-shirts, access to monthly video calls with us, all sorts of amazing things that you see behind the scenes, and ridiculous shows like the ones you just heard. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, we don't even say that here. Until next time, whatever. Conspiracies still happen.